If you love me, please don't judge me. Got my hands tied, the power's above me. Don't shoot the messenger, I'm just a puppet here. If you wanna place blame, then look to the puppeteer. Family, fortune, envy, jealousy, privilege, passed on, legacy, secret, sabotage, borderline, felony, suicide, subtract, selfish, pedigree, yeah.
How's it going, everybody? It's C-RadTV back here in another video. So, of course, it's time to continue on to What If NASCAR Had the F1 Points Format series. So, the last time in this series, we took a look at the Whelen Modifieds series in the 2000s and learned quite a few things would have changed under the F1 Points format. And in this part, we're going to wrap up the Whelen Modifieds branch of this What If series by taking a look at the Whelen Modifieds series in the 2010s. So, we're going to wrap it up here with this part. So we're going to take a look at Modifieds in 2010 and the 2010s to see what would have changed and what would have stayed the same if they used the F1 points format, which will catch us up to almost present day. So yeah, anyway, and of course, before we begin this video, make sure you also check out the official NASCAR at F1 Points Twitter and Instagram pages for exclusive NASCAR at F1 Points content. I always post new content there every day. And now officially, I have all the 2021 standings now updated for every single sanctioned NASCAR series, which also includes series like the Mexico Series and the Whelen Euro Series. So I have all those up now, up to present time. So now we are all caught up. But yeah, anyway, you want to check those out, make sure you go for it. But yeah, anyway, on the points, on the screen, of course, is the points format we're going to be using for this part. And of course, it's the current F1 points format, which is the top 10 finishers. It will not be the fast. There will be no fastest lap bonus points since NASCAR does a terrible job of keeping track of the fastest lap, and it's a massive pain in the ass to find it. And I'm not doing double points for 2014 like I mentioned before because double points is a stupid and dumb gimmick that manufactures drama, and I'm not doing gimmicks. But yeah, and anyway, before we continue on, let me once again stress out that this is just a hypothetical scenario. I know they would have raced differently had they used the F1 points format. This is just for fun. So now, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and let's jump right into it. So, the 2010 season, we had 4 drivers separate themselves from the rest of the field, and those 4 being Bobby Santos, Mike Stefanik, Ted Christopher, and Ron Silk. Those 4 were the class of the field all year in terms of speed and consistency, and separating themselves from the rest of the field. In the end, though, Ted Christopher, Mike Stefanik, and Ron Silk would all fail to be consistent in key moments of the year when it mattered the most. Bobby Santos would take full advantage of it with pole way late in the season, and Bobby Santos would wrap up the championship with a race to go in the season. So Bobby Santos would still win the 2010 Modifieds Championship under this format. So the 2011 season, it was a 3-man battle for the championship between Ron Silk, Todd Segutty, and Ted Christopher. Those 3 were the class of the field all year in terms of speed and consistency. Those 3 were the class of the field all year. In the end, the championship will go all the way down to the season finale, with Todd Segutty entering with a 9-point lead over Ron Silk and a 21-point lead over Ted Christopher. So Silk needed to finish a couple spots ahead of Todd to win the title. Ted Christopher would need to win the race and would need both Ron Silk and Todd Segutty to finish deep in the field, almost out of the points to have a shot at the title. Todd Segutty, he just needs to either stay close to Silk or finish ahead of him to lock up the championship. But in the end, none of that would even have mattered since neither of those 3 finished inside the top 10 in the season finale at Thompson Speedway. So neither of those 3 scored any points in the finale. So in the end, Todd Segutty would win the championship in 2011 by default. So under this format, Todd Segutty would win his 2nd Modifieds Championship in 2011. So for the 2012 season, we had a 3-man battle for the championship between Doug Colby, and yes, that is the Doug Colby that won the inaugural SRX race this year. Yes, this is what Doug Colby was most famous for, was modified racing. and short track racing. This is where he made a name for himself, was in this series. So anyway, the battle was between Doug Coby, Ryan Preece, and Ron Silk. Those three were the class of the field all year in terms of set speed and consistency. In the end, though, Ron Silk and Ryan Preece would fail to be consistent in key moments of the season when it mattered the most, and Doug Coby would take advantage of it and pull away late in the season, and Doug Coby would lock up the 2012 Modifieds Championship with a race to go in the season. So Doug Coby would still win the Modifieds Championship under this format in 2012. So the 2013 season, it was a two-man battle for the championship between Ryan Preece and Doug Coby. Those two were the class of the field all year in terms of speed and consistency and separated themselves from the rest of the field. In the end, though, Doug Coby would fail to be consistent in key moments of the season when it mattered the most, and Ryan Preece would take full advantage of it and would pull away late in the season. And Ryan Preece would lock up the Modifieds Championship with a race to go in the season under this format. So Ryan Preece would still win the 2013 Modifieds Championship under this format. So for the 2014 season, it was one of those weird seasons where there wasn't a clear-cut dominant driver all season. It was really a toss-up between a number of drivers you could have made a case for. In the end, those 6 drivers would break themselves away from the rest of the pack, and those 6 being Doug Coby, Ryan Preece, Justin Bonsignor, Ted Christopher, Bobby Santos, and Woody Pitkat. Those 6 were the class of the field all year in terms of speed and consistency and separated themselves from the rest of the field and made a case for the title. In the end, Ryan Preece, Bobby Santos, Ted Christopher, and Woody Pitkat would all fail to be consistent in key moments of the season when it mattered the most. Plus, not everyone can compete for a title. And they would all be eliminated with around a race or 2 to go in the season, respectively. So in the end, it went all the way down to the season finale at Thompson Speedway, with Doug Coby entering with an 18-point lead over Justin Bonsignor. So for Bonsignor, he would effectively need to win the race and would need Coby to finish at least 8th or worse to have a shot at the 6th or 7th or worse to have a shot at the championship. Doug Coby, he just needed to finish 6th or better regardless of where Justin finished, or needed to have Bonsignor finish 2nd or worse to lock up the title. So in the season finale at Thompson Speedway, Bonsignor ran around top 5 most of the race. Doug Coby, he would end up finishing the race in 17th, 2 laps down after he struggled and got in an incident. So it was set up there to where if Justin Bonsignor could win the race, he would win the title. And in the end, he would fall well short of goal as Bonsignor would finish 5th in the season finale, which meant that would have been enough for Doug Coby to edge out Justin Bonsignor for the 2014 Modifieds Championship by only 8 points. So Doug Coby would still win the 2014 Modifieds Championship under this format. So the 2015 season, it was all about Doug Coby. Doug was just the class of the field all year in terms of speed and consistency. Like nobody was on Doug Coby's level in 2015. And Doug Coby would easily cruise to the 2015 Modifieds Championship under this format. So for the 2016 season, we would have a 3-man battle for the championship between Doug Coby, Justin Bonsignor, and Timmy Solomito. Those 3 were the class of the field all year in terms of speed and consistency. In the end, though, Timmy Solomito would fail to be consistent in key moments of the year when it mattered the most, and he would be eliminated with a race to go in the season. So in the end, the championship would go all the way down to the season finale at Thompson Speedway, with Doug Coby entering with a 3-point lead over Justin Bonsignor. So pretty much whoever finished the highest, depending on where they finished, would be who would end up winning the title. But Bonsignor, if he didn't win the race, he would need to finish at least a spot or 2 ahead of Coby. Coby would either need to finish ahead of Bonsignor or finish right behind him, as long as Bonsignor didn't win the race to win the title. In the season finale at Thompson Speedway, both drivers ran up front for a good chunk of the race. In the end, though, Doug Coby, he would end up finishing 6th in the finale. But Justin Bonsignor would do everything he would need to lock up the title, as he would win the race. And that win would be more than enough for Justin Bonsignor to win the championship over Doug Coby by 14 points. So Justin Bonsignor would be the 2016 Modifieds champion under this format. So for the 2017 season, it was a two-man battle for the championship between Timmy Solomito and Ryan Preece. Those two were the class of the field all year in terms of speed and consistency. In the end, though, Timmy Solomito would fail to be consistent in key moments of the year when it mattered the most. Ryan Preece would take full advantage of it and pull away late in the season despite being on a part-time schedule. But Preece was still able to get the job done despite that. And Ryan Preece would lock up the Modifieds Championship with 2 races to go in the season. So Ryan Preece would win his second Modifieds Championship under this format in 2017. Now, Timmy Solomito would go on and have a solid end to the year and win the season finale at Thompson Speedway. But all that win did, it just made the championship look a lot closer than it actually did. So the 2018 season, it was all about Justin Bonsignor. He was the class of the field all year in terms of speed and consistency. Like, nobody was on Justin's level in 2018. And Justin Bonsignor would easily cruise to a second Modifieds championship in 2018. So the 2019 season, it was a 3-man battle for the championship between Doug Coby, Justin Bonsignor, and Ron Silk. Those 3 were the class of the field all year in terms of speed and consistency. In the end, though, Ron Silk would fail to be consistent in key moments of the year when it mattered the most, and he would be eliminated with around a race or 2 to go in the season. So in the end, the championship would go all the way down to the season finale at Thompson Speedway, with Doug Coby entering with a 6-point lead over Justin Bonsignor. So Justin Bonsignor would either have to win the race or he would need to finish just a few spots ahead of Coby to lock up the title. Coby just need to either stay close to Bonsignor, finish ahead of him, as long as Bonsignor didn't win the race. So in the season finale at Thompson Speedway, both drivers ran top 5, top 10 most of the race and up front. In the end, though, Doug Coby, he would end up finishing 7th in the season finale. But Justin Bonsignor, like a repeat of 2016, Justin Bonsignor would do everything he would need to win the title, and he would end up winning the season finale at Thompson Speedway. And that win would be more than enough for Justin Bonsignor to win his 3rd Modifieds Championship and edge out Doug Coby by 13 points. So Justin Bonsignor would be the 2019 Modifieds champion under this format. And this would be his 3rd title. And he would go back-to-back under this format in 2019. So yeah, anyway, that's going to wrap it up here for this part of What If series. And that's going to wrap it up for the Whelen Modifieds branch of this What If series. So yeah, there were quite a few things would have happened for sure under the F1 points format in the Modified Series in the 2010s. Like in terms of championship bouts that went down to the season finale, we had 4 title fights go down to the season finale race. And we had 4 title changes under this format in the 2010s. And those title changes taking place in 2011, 2016, 2017, and 2019. So yeah, quite a few things would have changed in the Whelen Modified series in the 2010s under the F1 points format. So yeah, well, in terms of modified still, I am going to try at some point to go through and get all the seasons from 1948 to 1984 and get what I missed. Like I said, I'm going to do that phase 4 probably in 2022, the lost seasons for a number of series. But yeah, in the meantime, that's going to wrap it up here for the Modifieds branch of this series. I am going to return to Modifieds for 2020, of course, when I do 2020 Season Part 2 for the other NASCAR series I didn't cover in 2020 Part 1. So yeah, and that'll be the last part, one of the last parts I do for almost a year. But yeah, anyway, the next part of this What If series, we're going to be tackling the Mexico series. So yeah, the Mexico series, we're going to tackle it and see what would have changed and what would have stayed the same if they used the F1 points format. And that next part, it comes out depending on how fast I'm making to do all my research and how fast I record everything. But yeah, and quick disclaimer for the Mexico series, we're only doing the Mexico series. We're not doing the FedEx Challenge, just the Mexico series. That's it. And a quick disclaimer for the Mexico series, I'm more than likely going to get a good chunk of those names wrong and botch and mispronounce a lot of them because I cannot speak Spanish worth a shit to save my life. So bear with me, just a heads up and a fair warning. But yeah, anyway, that'll wrap it up here for this part. That's all I got to say. Hope everyone's a great day, and I'll see you on whatever I make next. Peace.